Brian here at the Vice. Like I said in my first video on jig tying, if I tie a Marabou jig, 32nd or 16th ounce, I have some leftover Marabou, and I'll tie these 80s and 120s just for little panfish and trout. So here I'm taking my black Marabou, and I'm going to tie that on a little bit. I'm going to kind of square it up here, pull down tight. And like body Chanel, what I like to do is I like to wrap it on these little jigs and then pick up the front, give it a couple wraps, wrap it back over, pull it tight, and then I'm going to cut off my access here. You know, I don't want a real thick body on this. I'm going to go after some spring cold water fish with this jig, so I want to keep it a little bit thin, make it look like a little juvenile kind of leech. Is more or less the pattern I'm looking for. This is 136 denier thread I'm wrapping this down with. I want to get all these tag ends covered up nice and uniformly. As you can see, my Marabou is going around my jig a little bit on me, but that's fine. As I go here, this is all going to lock it down into place. I'll make one final adjustment, and it'll be exactly where I want it. So we're going to put a few wraps on here. As you can see, I'm on the wrong side of the hook here with some of it. I'm going to grab my bodkin, and I'm going to pull that around and just kind of look at it. That looks pretty close to what I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down on this thread, and I'm going to grab my whip tool, and I'm going to give it somewhere between 5 and 7 whips here, just like I normally do. And then I'm going to cinch all this down nice and tight. You got to watch it here when you're whipping them. These hooks are a little light. You don't want to be bending them too much. So we'll get that snug down tight, and then we'll trim off our access here. Now all we got left to do is we're going to go grab our Sally Hansen hard as nails, and we're just going to give a nice little coat on the thread wraps itself to kind of lock that all together and make it a little bit more waterproof. Now we don't want a big glob on here. We just kind of want a light little brush stroke. I'm going to look at this. We got a little bit on the bottom, so we're going to make sure that's all kind of cleaned off there so there ain't a big glob. And that's it. That's what we do with the leftover Marabou feathers. I tie these little jigs. If you guys found any value in this, go ahead, hit the subscribe and like button, and we'll see you guys next week when we tie our next jig.